Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
a go on a bit of this. You'll get to hear some more of that riveting track a little bit later. I'm here with Freddie Gavita. Freddie, how are you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm okay. Thanks, Callum. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm enjoying the sunshine. Slightly too hot and slightly kind of a bit bothered today, but otherwise okay.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's hard to get anything
indeed.
done when you're in that sort of state, isn't it?
Yeah, need the aircon.
Absolutely. Not blessed with that in the UK, sadly.
Sadly not. Now, for those of you who don't know, Freddie is one of the country's, probably the country's finest jazz trumpet player, jazz flugelhorn player, and he's a great composer as well. He plays with me in the Ronnie Scott's Jazz Orchestra. I first met Freddie in the National Youth Jazz Orchestra when I was about 15, and Freddie was maybe 23 or something like that.
21, I think.
21, okay. I was as blown away then by his incredible ability as I am now.
You're too kind.
Possibly more so because I was a child.
Well, yeah, but our ears change as we get older, don't they?
Yeah, I know, but mine haven't that much. You're well aware.
Exactly the same as I was.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what your sort of work profile is, and so forth.
Oh, so my work profile is, I should say, quite varied, but mainly within the jazz and commercial music areas. So I have a band, a quartet, which plays original music, and another one that I play some standards and kind of arrangements of jazz tunes, things like that I didn't write. Lots of big band playing, which is good fun, and then things from all sorts of styles, really. So I found myself in bands like the Pasadena Roof Orchestra, playing 1920s music, playing Glenn Miller, playing in, sort of very specifically beboppy groups, hard bop bands, 60s post bop, fusion, jazz rock, contemporary music. So kind of done little bits of everything, which can get quite confusing as a human.
Yes, it's something I said to Pete the other day, actually, that we as musicians, sort of, as we have to go out to work and earn a living somehow, we end up working across an enormous range of various things. And Pete, of course, played the contrabass clarinet on this album, which is yet another thing that man does, as well as composing, arranging, saxophones, clarinets, flutes, the whole lot of it being this amazing front man who's absolutely hilarious.
Yes, he is.
But yes, there's a very wide range of stuff that we all do, and you're of course no exception. So I thought we'd have a little listen to a little bit of your album, Transient, and the other thing that we're going to listen to as well. There's two little clips which we're going to play back to back. They're both clips of the same tune, but they're different versions of the same tune.
Yes.
The tune's called Beloved.
Yes.
Which you wrote.
Yes.
And the first version is from your latest album, Transient. I believe it's your latest album. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. The second version is from my previous album.
Yes.
Something's Coming, and that's obviously a big band version. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about this tune and sort of what it means to you?
Well, I mean, I think I had an old tune I think I'd written when I was at college, and you very kindly asked me to write an arrangement for your album. 2012, is that right?
2012 it came out, yeah.
It feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Back when we were good.
When I could still play the trombone.
Less jaded. But yeah, I think so. I basically kind of took that tune and expanded it and turned it into a big band arrangement for your record. And then quite liked some of the sort of different passages that I ended up writing and different sections that came out of rejigging that tune for that lineup. So re-recorded it in late 2016 and came out in 2017 on the quartet album. So it's heavily influenced by the big band version, but obviously minus another 13 people.
13 horns-ish.
So you just have to imagine the other ones.
And who's in the quartet?
So Tom Corley on piano, Callum Gourlay on double bass, and James Madron on the drums.
It's a very, very strong team. It's a very nice quartet to play with.
It's really nice. I don't really have to do a lot, which is really what I want. So the better the rhythm section, the less you have to do, right?
Well, yes. It's I find that it's the difference between, well, for me anyway, because I don't play very much jazz. It's the difference between me sounding convincing and me fighting with them to try and be heard at all. I always think that certain people can sound amazing with a really dreadful rhythm section, and the person I'm thinking most of at this point is Alex Garnett.
I was going to say, yeah, he's got a habit of dragging people with him, doesn't he?
Yeah, which is quite incredible. But I find that is not the case for me.
No, me too.
So it's fortunate to have such an amazing rhythm section. So here you will see a little picture of Freddie's chart Beloved, which you may be able to see on the screen if it's
cute.
large enough. And this is what it sounds like. Hey, Jonathan.
Silly man. That's very kind.
And the big band.
Here it comes.
This is Simon Marsh on the tenor saxophone. I like that bit. Big pyramid.
Here's Walshy.
There we go.
Oh, I haven't listened to either of those for a long time.
No, me neither. It's quite nice, isn't it? So
Yeah.
do check out Freddie's album Transient. It's very, very, very good. And if you want, you can listen to mine as well. Though do listen to the new one first because it's better.
Only 8 years later.
Only 8 years later, indeed. It takes quite a long time to do these things.
Yeah.
So the thing I asked Freddie to do on this project was a beautiful kind of soaring trumpet solo. He's the only trumpet player to appear on the orchestral side of the album.
Is that so?
That is so, yes. There are a few tracks with the big band and the orchestra, and when there's those, obviously there's trumpets in the big band. But the orchestra itself, when there's no big band, I decided not to have any trumpets in it, just because I didn't need them. They didn't really. I had so many people already. They didn't really seem that I was going to use them in the context. But Freddie's just so good that I had to have him anyway. And Freddie plays a solo on a tune called Pure Imagination, which I first heard when I was a very young child in the film Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, sung, of course, by, what's his name?
I don't know.
Willy Wonka.
Oh, him. Gene. It's not the old one. Is it Gene Hackman?
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it now.
Someone will be able to tell us.
What's he called? Gene Wilder. He's called
Gene Wilder, not Gene Hackman. Oh my goodness, they're very different.
Sung by Gene Wilder in a sort of slightly altitude. Thank you, Dan.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
Although I'd quite like to see Gene Hackman play Willy Wonka. I think that would be. It might be too late.
Possibly. Yes. But no, I've always loved that song, and it felt like the perfect opportunity to feature both Claire's incredible vocals and Freddie's incredible trumpet playing. So when you're sort of when you're approaching something completely improvised, this is a bit of a curveball question, which you are welcome to answer in as nerdy or as or as short a way as you like.
Okay.
When you're approaching a sort of jazz solo on such a well-known tune, is there anything in particular you like to do to make it your own, say?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I don't know if there is anything specific that I would do. I mean, sometimes I think actually with a melody that is as well known as Pure Imagination, I think if you're going to I wouldn't want to quote that in the solo. And perhaps, well, definitely, probably not obviously. Anyway, you might sort of try and disguise it in there somewhere or something like that. But I think that sometimes can just kind of take away from the fact that you're in the solo rather than you're not in the tune. And so
sure.
I think it's obviously good to have the melody in mind, but I think for me, it's always about atmosphere and hopefully I think a flow of improvisation that you can follow the shape that you want to give to the solo, especially where there are things like backings and when you're playing with an orchestra or with a big band with arrangements like these. I think you have to make sure that what you're playing is matching the intensity of what's going on behind you. So I think those are a couple of things that make quite a big difference, I would say. I don't know if that's helpful.
Indeed. No, I think that makes perfect sense. And orchestrationally, as you're about to hear, Freddie sort of comes out, he sort of creeps in behind Claire's vocal at the beginning over this sort of shimmery orchestral vamp, and then he's on his own, completely on his own for 8 bars before the orchestra come in to accompany him. And it's a moment. Well, I say completely on his own. He's not completely on his own. The rhythm section is still playing.
It's not just solo trumpet.
the drums, guitar, piano, bass and Latin percussion are all still playing at that point. We've got Tommy Emerton on the guitar playing a lovely kind of Brazilian nylon string acoustic thing with that sort of Joe Beam sensibility. We turned him up quite loud because we liked it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun to play on, that's for sure. Yeah.
Let's give it a listen. So, see if it plays the intro again. Yes, it will. So we've heard that already. Here it comes. First time this has been heard. We're having slight playback issues here.
Yeah.
Are you having playback issues on the Facebook side? I don't think they do. I think it just works.
Okay. It's hard to tell. It seems like it's skipping to me.
Playback keeps skipping back. Okay, we'll play it again in a minute. Because it's got to have all loaded now. Right, we're going to listen again. Because it's got to have loaded.
Ah, okay.
Here we go.
Broken the internet. Lots of reverb.
Of course.
I need it.
Those are the expensive notes.
They do cost more. It's nice to have count.
Go. But wait, there's more.
What? Oh no.
If you truly wish to be, if you truly wish.
Castanets.
You left a quote in.
That's it.
That's it.
How about that? What an amazing solo, eh?
That's very
What
kind.
a sound.
There's a comment in the from David von Runkel. Hello, David. Haven't seen you for a while. About the flugelhorn, and that's actually my trumpet, I'm afraid. But it's a very big, dark trumpet, so it's quite flugely, I would say, and it's in some of its tonal qualities. So you weren't too far off. But
Interestingly, the part does specify flugelhorn, but we tried it on the flugel and we tried it on the trumpet, and the trumpet just sounded better. It sounded more in keeping with the. That was Louis's shout, actually. Louis decided.
I think so. Yeah.
Louis decided it'd be better on the trumpet, and I think he was right. It's more. There's more kind of body to the sound. It cuts more cleanly over the general texture. It's not quite as many lower partials in the trumpet sound compared to the flugel sound. So you hear the solo much more crisply and much more cleanly.
Yeah. I think it's the right call. But yeah, it was good fun. Oh, Dave, no worries. It wasn't a criticism. It was merely I just wanted to answer your question. So there are no influences.
Who are your influences in your trumpet sound then?
In my trumpet sound,
favorite trumpet players?
Oh, I mean,
top 3 or something.
I mean, it kind of changes, doesn't it? So
it's my mum. My mum likes it too.
Oh, thanks, Mum.
High praise.
Yes, of course. If you get Mum on side, then you're onto a winner, right? So I think, I mean, Miles and Winton, and I think, I mean, I went through a big Freddie Hubbard phase as well, and a big Clifford Brown phase, but I don't know if they really. I don't think I carry much of their qualities, particularly, but I don't know. I think it also changes, to be honest. I think, like, depending on, we were talking about being in different situations, that I think, the influence on the sound tends to just be coloured by the kind of piece and environment that I find myself in. You just kind of drawing on a different thing depending on where you are, and hopefully that can be captured. It might just be in my head, I'm not sure, but even I
think it's definitely audible. I definitely hear the Winton and the Miles in there for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think it just, if you've listened to a lot of music that has that kind of, the kind of thing that you want to sort of embody in the solo, then I think you'll naturally be drawn to those particular. I don't think I'd find myself drawn towards that if I was playing, like trying to play in a salsa band or something, or a salsa tune.
No, indeed.
Miles wouldn't be the first thing that pops into your head, would it? So, likewise, not saying I can play like Maynard Ferguson, but that sound wasn't the first kind of thought when we were doing this.
No.
Oh yeah, I want to draw on the Maynard or the Arturo Sandoval.
No, a scream trumpet solo would not have suited that particular passage. I wouldn't have said.
I don't mean I can do it. I just meant in terms of the sound. But actually, Arturo is definitely the kind of person who can model his sound quite differently. It's really amazing, actually.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sort of switching between orchestral and, I guess, a lead or a jazz sound or all sorts of things. Yeah. So I hope that
good.
If that's interesting or not, I don't know.
I think it's fairly interesting. So just before we're going to wrap up fairly soon, but just before we finish, us musicians, not much gigs to play at the moment. Not a huge amount of work for us to go and do.
I'd say none.
It's pretty much none. It's why instead of being out at a jazz club tonight, we're sat in front of our computers, drinking wine and doing a stream. But that's okay. What are you doing to keep yourself busy?
Oh, Callum, why did you have to ask me that? I ask myself this every day. What am I doing? To be honest, I took 2 weeks off as soon as lockdown hit, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to have to do anything for a while. Everything's cancelled. So I was like, I'm going to give my chops a rest and not play. So I took 2 weeks off. Had a couple of bits of sort of remote recordings and things to do from home, which was useful, I guess, both to stop you going crazy, and just to feel like you're playing some music with someone else, which I think is probably the biggest thing, apart from the social aspect of the music. I think been doing some teaching, so I still teach my school pupils and a few private lessons on Skype and Zoom and things like that. So that's been good, just to have just some interaction and to talk about music with people and that kind of thing, and then some gentle practice. So really trying to take this opportunity whilst I don't have to go out and bash my face in doing things that are probably beyond what I really should be doing, to try and build, build on a few things and correct a few sort of bad habits that have crept into my playing that I want to try and iron out. So that's incredibly frustrating, and but hopefully will pay off in the long run. So yeah. I
find that some a sort of a little chunk of time off, as you know, well, as some of the people watching will presumably know, I do a lot of arranging work as well as my playing work, and sometimes I will just have 2 weeks where I don't have time to touch the horn, and I find that it's painful for a day on the other side, but that if I've had a long stretch of playing a lot and then a couple of weeks off, it really puts my head in the right place again.
Oh yeah.
Even if it doesn't put my muscular strength in the right place, it certainly puts my head in the right place to work and to play well. So maybe there's a slight silver lining out of
absolutely. I think
all of this.
When will we ever get time? I mean, I definitely haven't. I mean, you just can't really afford to take a month off if you need to, or if you want to. If you're purely playing, there's never going to be another time where you can do it. So I think taking that time, and you can do other things. I've written a lot of exercise for myself over the last month, where I've just been trying to combine a couple of approaches and things that I want to practice into one thing. So I'm doing sort of more than just one thing at a time in the way that I'm practicing, which has been quite nice. And I've written 16 bars of music in 2 months.
Nice. Impressive.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? But it took me a long time. It hasn't got a tune. Yeah, it's literally just like. It does have it doesn't have a title. It's a kind of, I would say, slightly. I don't know if you're familiar with the Joshua Redman Elastic Band album. Okay. He made a sort of funky record it's probably 10 years old now. So it's kind of maybe sort of in keeping with that style of things a little bit, but just nice. Got inspired for about half an hour and wrote something out. But I don't really make composing a regular part of my day, which I think is something that now it would be a good thing to pursue.
It's interesting. People sort of have different approaches, don't they? Some people like to do it all in one chunk. Some people like to sort of do a little bit every day. I was speaking to Jake Wilson the other day, the guitarist who
he's amazing.
He's ridiculous. Another album that all of you should go and get is Jake's recent album, which is called I've forgotten. Click, 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 click.
He's an astonishing musician, isn't he?
It's called A Piece of the Action.
Oh yeah.
I kept wanting to call it Fan Fiction because that's the name of the first track, but I'd forgotten the actual album title. But yeah, you should all go and listen to that because it's incredible. Jake's set aside for himself 2 days a week, which he composes on exclusively.
Wow. Amazing.
Which is a nice. I'd say that's probably quite a nice way of doing it. I maybe should do something like that myself. I'm nowhere near disciplined as that, I think.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? But I mean,
Mm.
it teaches you a lot about yourself being in this kind of situation, because you suddenly realize how important a deadline can be
Yes.
to you.
Yes.
and suddenly, with all the deadlines removed from life, you sort of start to find out what your real drives are, and how you function, and how you motivate yourself. And I think for me, there are definitely days where I wake up and I think I do not want to play the trumpet today, because I don't feel like there's a point. Like I get some enjoyment out of practice, but I always think of it as it's always leading towards the goal of performing and creating something with other people for other people to listen to. And so without that kind of end goal in sight, the reason for practicing is kind of gone for me in a way. I can sort of, like I was saying, in terms of sort of solidifying some technique and working on a few things, that's all kind of okay. But yeah, I kind of struggle. But I've really found just listening to some music that actually just makes me really happy has helped massively, because as soon as I hear like a rhythm section start playing something that just feels great, then that makes me want to go and pick my trumpet up, because I want to join in. So that suddenly becomes like a driving force for me to go and play and practice. But without that, I don't know if I have it necessarily within myself of that thing just to get better for my own sake. It's a bit of
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a collaborative art form, isn't it? Music, and particularly jazz music.
Yeah.
That jazz on your own is sort of it's an incredibly solipsistic endeavor. It doesn't seem.
Yes.
It just doesn't seem right in a way.
Yeah, I mean, rhythm section instruments, I think obviously like piano and guitar, there's an element of accompaniment and melody going on there. Whereas I've had a few, I don't want to call them muggles, but non-musician friends. It's just been like, oh, why don't you do some sort of solo trumpet playing and do that online? And for some people, they can do that and it sounds brilliant and it's wonderful and they might enjoy it. But for me, that's probably the last thing that I would want to do. Like, I don't
really think there's not really solo. Solo brass is not really a thing.
No, I mean, there are some cool things with instruments that have a bit more of a register, like a bottom register. So there are some cool like saxophone things, where you can kind of play your own bass line and then play in between. Whereas
the blues.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of thing. And Chris Potter's stuff, and there's some great Tommy Smith solo saxophone things that I really like listening to. But I don't think the trumpet's got a deep or broad enough bottom register for me to really feel like I can get what I would want to get out of the trumpet. So it's time to get a 5-valve flugelhorn that goes down to a pedal E flat or something. And then, but maybe I'll see if Adams will make me one of those.
I'm sure they will.
They might do. I asked them nicely.
I'm sure they will.
That'd be fun. But yeah,
good.
It's
well, listen to happy music. That's the advice from Freddie, and I think that it's good advice from everyone. And listen to the album too, because it's coming out in under a month now, on the 19th of June. As you can see from the scrolling thing down there. Look, here it comes.
Oh, is that what that says? Okay.
There we go.
It's going the other way on my screen. That looked ridiculous.
But of course, the first two singles, that's "I Get Along Without You Very Well," featuring Andy Wood, and "You and the Night in the Music," featuring Ryan Quigley. They're already out, so you can listen to them on all your favorite evil streaming services. Watch out for the rest of the album, where you can hear the entire track that Freddie is featured on, and please do check it out. Check out Transient as well. Check out Jake's album that I mentioned earlier. Check out all this stuff because, let's be honest, you've got the time.
Yes. And we don't have the money.
No, indeed. Indeed.
I'm only messing.
Well, lovely to chat, Freddie.
Yes,
it's
you
been
too,
great fun. And we'll see you. We're going next week on Wednesday night. I'm going to be chatting with Lawrence Unglis. Now, Lawrence is he's a fabulous bassist. He had 2 roles on the album actually. In the orchestral stuff, he played the double bass, the Bode's double bass in the orchestra, and then on some of the big band stuff, he played the rhythm bass. So he played the like jazz double bass in the context of the rhythm section. Now, not many people in the world can do that. So I'm looking forward to talking to. Yes, indeed, I'm looking forward to talking to Lawrence about his kind of varied and storied career as a musician. But until Wednesday, we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.